we're beginning with that one, the after series. But I guess we'll start off, like you said, Tara, not getting into spoilers for anyone that hasn't read the books that wants to. Um, yeah, let's talk about just general high level, like the plot and characters.
Okay. So I'm gonna start off with Tessa because I think she's the main character I mean, don't get me wrong, Hardin's in there, but Tessa is who I you know, connected with. She, like you said earlier, she reminded me a lot of me. She is straight out of high school, getting into college for the first time. And she's experienced a lot of things that, this is the first time she's experienced them. Um, like us, another thing that kind of connected me to her is she's naive going into college. She doesn't have a lot of those, I don't want to say negative experiences, but negative experiences that make you grow as a human being. And so connected with her a lot. And then there's Hardin, who, I
Oh,
mean,
Hardin.
the accent alone got me. But he is your quintessential bad boy.
Yeah.
Like he gets into trouble a lot. But you'll see him throughout the series. He grows a little, just like Tessa does. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned how much Tessa's character resonated with you back in high school because I agree. I'm remembering back to when we were 17, 18, 19, um, that first year that we went away to college. Do you remember when we moved into our suites and I forget what the guy's name was, but he asked us if we were closet freaks. Do you remember that?
Yes,
And
and
we
we
had
both
no fucking
had
idea what that meant. We're like, does that mean we don't like to go out?
do
Like
we
we're
like
socially,
clothes?
yeah, like we just hang out in the closet. What does that mean? Like that's how naive we were, people. But also, so I hope I can say this. While I was watching the movie, uh, um, do you remember Tessa's mom, Carol?
Hmm.
How she is like really in tune with Tessa's life and like
Yes.
calls and
Like
stuff. So I remember your mom and your mom liked to keep tabs on you. And
mhm,
yeah. And so
yes.
like that part, that relationship between Tessa and Carol, it really reminded me like some parts of that between you and your mom.
Yes. I wholeheartedly agree. My mom likes to keep up with me still. Like, I mean, up until a couple years ago, we had a nightly call at 9 o'clock that if somebody did not answer their phone, like the police would get called, because it was that serious of a call. So yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Like my
Yeah.
mom,
I
we
just couldn't help but like make that connection when I was watching it. It's like no wonder it resonated because I mean, yeah,
it's like we were Tessa. I mean,
bookish, did our homework, made good grades.
we're at parties sometimes doing like searching
Yeah.
for books. Maybe not that far. Um,
Okay, UN.
yeah. I did like the accents though, so I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I am even more like Tessa there.
Yeah, in college, um, people used to call Tara UN just because like we hung out with the international crowd a lot,
Mhm.
just because we really liked getting to know different people. We were really sheltered in high school and literally did not go out and do anything. So it's like, oh, one big difference though between us and I guess Tessa in the series is she had a boyfriend in high school, which we did not.
We did
We did
not.
not talk to boys, okay? Like unless there was a project or an assignment, we did not talk to boys.
We did our homework with boys, but that's
That
the
was
line
that
right
was
there.
it. So that Tessa did have a boyfriend, poor Noah, but yeah, we won't
She
get
didn't know
into
how to treat her boyfriend, but
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think you gave a good general overview of what the series is about. I mean, it's essentially like yeah, she was in a relationship with Noah in high school, and then she went away because she was like a year older than Noah, I think,
mhm.
right? A
Yeah,
year.
he was still a senior when she
Yeah.
was entering college.
Yeah. So like she goes away to college. She's still together with him. And so, yeah, she had this relationship with Noah, but it's really about like your first love, like your like
Mhm.
really intense, passionate first love. And so that's
Sure.
kind of what the story is about. And it's just kind of like the ups and downs of this girl, becoming a woman who navigated this difficult relationship, relationships, because she is curious. She's never experienced anything in life. So, I mean, it's more than just about like Hardin and Noah. There are other people that are interested in her, and she's like figuring out who she is. So, that's just one of the things that really drew me to the series. I think the series gets a bad rep sometimes because the naysayers will complain like this is not a series that you teach girls how to be in relationships and what to accept from a romantic partner and stuff, because of there are very abusive toxic elements in it. But
But I think it can be something that you teach young girls about, because not every relationship is going to be perfect. And don't get me wrong, I do think that there are some toxic, abusive parts to this relationship, but I mean, Disney and all the movies that, I grew up on taught me a different perspective of relationships than what are actually out there. And I had high expectations that were not upheld. And I think setting the wrong expectation that way is just as bad as setting an expectation the other way. There needs to be a middle ground.
yeah,
And I think, not allowing girls to experience or to even like read about the bad that can happen sets them up to be naive like we were,
yeah.
and think that, you know, that's acceptable in some way.
Oh my gosh, Tara. Like, I think about some of the things that we went through in college and like some of the things that we could have avoided if we had been a little more experienced or a little more
Hmm.
knowledgeable about just different situations. Because even toxic relationships and friendships, even
Hmm.
can be very subtle. And we just didn't have enough life experiences to know any better. And I just feel like we could have avoided so much by being exposed to this,
Yeah.
types of
And
stories. And
this book wasn't subtle about the
no.
bad in this relationship. They blatantly say that this is not how the relationship needs to be or should be. And I think Tessa did a good job of standing up for herself in some aspects. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd liked for her to stand up for herself a little bit more, being my age and living through some of the similar things. Yes. Like I feel like I would, but I didn't when I was her age.
Yeah.
So I think, it's real.
Yeah.
It's, that's why we connect with it, is we've lived those experiences. We've seen that happens. And if we weren't so naive, and if we had seen stuff like that before or read stuff or whatever, then I think we would have noticed that sooner. And like you
Yeah.
said, friendships and things, if I had experienced, even a little bit, or had read or seen or whatever, some of those, then yeah, I think there would have been different choices made in life in general.
And just the
But
value and worth that you put on yourself too,
mhm,
like I don't know about you, but like back in college, I was like, oh, my value is like determined by, how much time this guy spends with me or the kind
mhm,
of attention that they can give me. And it's just not a good place to be, because when that relationship falls apart, you're beside yourself and like
don't
really,
know what to
really
do.
depressed, and it's unhealthy. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And I know we've talked about this, but I'm getting to the point now where I can feel good about myself. And I've learned so much about myself in, well, I'm just going to say it, in my 30s, that I feel other people had learned in their 20s. And like we've said, I'm a little bit behind. I'm not going to answer that for Sandra. I'm a little bit behind in the like being okay with myself, like in learning things and just being comfortable in my skin. And a lot of that, I think, comes from learning from those around me, books, movies, things like that, and just growing as an individual. So,
yeah, kind of piggybacking off what you said, I am still working on myself too, like that self-acceptance and growing in your own skin. I'm not there yet, you know. Mid-30s, mid-30s, and we're still figuring out.
Mhm. So if you're out there and you're still figuring it out, know that there are others.
Hey, look at us. We're fine right now. Like we're still,
Just fine.
we're
Not
getting
gonna
there.
start crying anytime soon. No.
I know, like off camera. Tears are for off camera.
Our makeup would run if we started
Yeah.
crying, so we can't do that.
Yeah. But I mean, every story has its purpose. I feel like you learn from them. I don't think it's a blueprint for how teenage girls and teenage boys need to, enact their relationships, but there are definitely valuable lessons to learn in it, which I wish we would have had growing up. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, with that said, there are things to dislike and like, not just about the books, but like the movies too.
Mhm.
And just so you all know, I think the first movie is still out on Netflix. It came out in early 2019 on Netflix. The second movie came out February of last year. It kept getting pushed back and pushed back because of the pandemic. And then they finally just like, um, they finally released it on like everything. It's on Netflix. And then the third movie is coming out after we fell.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully
Um,
soon.
from what I read, it should be coming out on the 30th of September. So before this will air, hopefully the third movie will be out in some form. I don't know what form that is, but it should
Yeah.
be out. So
Isn't there going to be a fourth movie too? I think.
yes.
I don't know
Yeah,
if, yeah, I didn't know if they're going to do a fifth movie or how they were going to handle.
the before.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. The only ones that I've read is there should be After We Fell and After Ever Happy, and I want to say that backwards every single time.
Yeah.
Um, should be coming out soon.
Yeah. I'm excited. I mean, I personally wasn't wowed by the second movie. It just felt like, I don't know, when you watch some shows and movies and you can tell they feel like a movie or a show,
Mhm.
like they're super staged, like you
Yeah.
can like really pick up on the sound effects and the setting and just like the background act, like it felt like that medium. And I
Well,
just,
and
yeah, it took me out of it.
I think I would have enjoyed it more had I not read the book first. Too,
Oh, you think
because
so?
I think I was wanting it to hold up to the book, and I think it fell short a little bit. There was a lot that happened in that book, and it felt kind of crammed in the movie. Like they didn't give true justice to some of the scenes.
That is true.
Um, and so I think if I would have watched it before I read the book, I think I would have liked the movie just fine. I agree with you. There were some things that took me out of it, but like it's a movie, so I was expecting it to feel like a movie. Um, but I also was expecting it to do the book justice. So
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I do remember the pacing just being really, really
mhm,
fast. Like it
yeah.
was just bouncing from scene to scene. There wasn't like a lot of character development. And
Mhm.
yeah, I remember that. It was hard to
And I'm gonna give a another character right now, but like there's a character named Trevor who's supposed to be like the I guess kind of a love triangle for the second time in this book. And he comes in the second movie, second book. Um, but he just like you said, he did not get a whole lot of development. You didn't like get a connection to him in the movie at all, I don't think. Whereas I think in the book you get more of a connection.
Oh, yeah, you get a lot of Trevor in the
Um,
books.
and so I think that that hurt in the movie because you did not feel that love triangle the same way as you do in the book.
Yeah, which is a shame because I feel like from the books there were so many really memorable scenes,
Mhm.
with the
F
three
Trevor.
of them, Hardin and Tessa and Trevor. Yeah,
Mhm.
fuck Trevor. But
And
that's a line from the books and it's worked its
and
way into the movies like over and over again. It's just like a classic Hardin Scott line.
well, Hardin Scott calls Trevor fucking Trevor.
Fuck you,
That's his
Trevor.
name, according to Hardin. So yeah, it is quite hilarious every time he sees him. Like, but
Yeah. Why don't we jump into spoilers now? I mean, we've
okay.
we've introduced Trevor and book two and this triangle stuff, but like So I guess the first book is like this nice little, it eases you into this story between these two people, Tessa and Hardin. So it's very like high school girl goes off to college. She has a boyfriend back in high school, and he is like a very puppy love, sweet kind of
He's more
guy.
a friend love,
Yeah,
more
there was like a
love
friend vibe for
love.
sure. Hmm.
I think she loved him because he was around when
Yeah,
she was going through a rough time in her childhood,
yeah.
and so he was there for her, and so I think it was more a friend love than a, like, I love you in a relationship love.
Yeah. And honestly, just because of like Noah's character, he's so squeaky clean. Like the boy does nothing
And
wrong.
adorable.
Yeah, he is adorable. I feel like it doesn't really go into this a lot, but it's kind of just like me filling in context for backstory's sake. But like Carol's personality, she's such like a structured, overbearing mom that wants to have every say in Tessa's life, that I wouldn't be surprised if she just kind of like made them come together as a boyfriend and girlfriend because he was good enough in her opinion to be with Tessa.
I I will agree on that with you, Sandra. I think her mom played a huge role in that, if not for the fact that, like, Tessa wanted to please her mom and she
Yeah.
knew that she liked Noah. And so I yeah, I think
Yeah.
maybe not a forced relationship because that sounds bad, but, like, I think Tessa felt, her mom liked him, and so
Yeah. And if you're wondering, so Tessa's dad, he's not in the picture at all. Like there was some stuff that happened when she was a child. So Tessa is solely reliant upon her mother. And so it's just like always been her and her mom. Like the dad is not in the picture whatsoever. So that kind of just compounds all of the problems. And I think, thinking about it, if you don't have a father figure or, a healthy father figure in
Mhm.
your life, it's like, of course,
You're
it's
gonna
not a
gravitate.
surprise. Yeah, you're going to gravitate to the type of people that are going to fill that kind of emptiness that you feel, that part that's missing, like unknowingly do that. And I think that's
Mhm.
also what happened with Tessa when she went away to college.
Yeah, because I think Tessa had the same kind of, like, I don't know, resentment for her dad that Hardin has for his dad.
Yeah,
And Hardin's dad, spoiler alert, was an alcoholic when Hardin was growing up. So they both had, um, trying childhoods, not great childhoods. There are more things that happened to Hardin in his childhood too, which we will eventually get to. But he has a resentment that he built for his dad that, I think Tessa mirrors for her dad because she didn't know why he left. Um, so
for
yeah.
sure. The things that Tessa and Hardin both dealt with as children with the type of shit their fathers were into, it just
Mhm.
it's things that you need therapy for later in life to work through them. But at least for this first book, it's really just a story about first passionate love. Um, it has, losing the virginity. It has that scene in it. It has like first frat party. It has, making that crew of friends. It has like kind of the oddball rebel roommate. Her roommate is Steph. And so like it's a very interesting friendship between Tessa and Steph there, because Steph comes off as like this really outgoing, social, like this just outgoing social chick that goes out to parties. She has her crew of friends, and they're all kind of like this band of misfits with piercings and tattoos, and they cuss and just kind of do whatever they want. And that's how Tessa kind of gets mixed into this group in the first place, is through her roommate, Steph.
And I'm going to point out that most of the girls in this friend group had been with Hardin at one point. So
Yes.
it's kind of awkward very quickly because, yeah,
I've
Tessa's
been
falling
there.
for
It is
him.
awkward. Yeah. When you find out you're like dating someone who's like slept with everybody in the room. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
like weird.
Yeah, it's slightly awkward when you're in the room with your boyfriend's, like, five other exes. Yeah.
Yeah. And not even necessarily exes, just like one night stands or like fuck buddy type of things.
Yeah, well, I was giving him a little bit
Yeah,
of a
yeah. But
benefit of the doubt there, but
let's I mean, but let's not sugarcoat it. In the beginning, Harden is very much, selfish Harden. He's like working
He's
through his shit and he does whatever he wants.
he's a little bit of a man whore.
He's
Let's
a man whore.
yeah. Um, but Tessa brings him over. And he finds the good in her and she finds the good in him, I guess,
Yeah,
towards the
what
end.
what do they bond over? It's like books, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah.
Wuthering Heights,
Wuthering
which is
Heights.
another toxic relationship.
Yes, and she keeps like throughout the book, she keeps like thinking her of herself as Catherine and him as Heathcliff,
Mhm.
um, and kind of comparing their relationship. Which, I mean, to her defense, there's some comparisons that are there, but I think that that does hurt her too because I think wills that to be sometimes. She thinks that they're the same, so she dwells on that part of their relationship instead of maybe focusing on some good things and maybe communicating with Harden.
Oh, the
Instead of
communication. Yes.
instead of, just saying, okay, we're like those people, so we shouldn't be together. Well, you love him, he loves you, so maybe you should communicate and try and make that work, if that's what you want out of it. If it's not, then end it and okay, it's great. But don't just keep trying to go back and expect it to be different when you're not making it different in some way.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought up the communication because one of the biggest complaints that I hear about the series, besides like this idea of it glorifying toxic relationships, like romanticizing it, is just that if they would simply talk about their issues like calm, adults, that most of their problems would be fixed, if not all of their problems would be resolved. But it's just like thinking back to us. Okay.
It's hard to
Sheltered,
talk.
sheltered upbringing, go away to college, you're suddenly immersed in this group of people, different kinds of people with different communication styles and upbringings and life experiences that you never had in your life before. And you're expected to just be communicative, like, and be able to express yourself clearly. Like, I think back to myself, there were so many situations I got myself in where I didn't feel comfortable, like, directly saying no to something, or you know it was easier to be coerced into doing things just because I don't want to say I didn't have a backbone, but it's like I didn't have enough life experiences to be able to just be confident and say
Mhm.
no, like get out of my face or whatever,
I
and
think
it's the same thing with Tessa, like, and
mhm,
Harden. It's like they're both stunted in that sense. They can't just like, they're very, very emotional. Like it's common
mhm.
for them to blow up at each other and things just kind of devolve from there.
I think Tessa is like me in that sense too. Like you were saying, I had a lot of, I mean, you said backbone, but like self-worth. Like I didn't think I was worth more than what they were giving me. And I think Tessa is the same way. She feels like, this is what she's worth, and has a little bit of a stunted amount of self-worth there. And I think that ties back to her dad leaving, because I think that that stunted her. And like you said, Harden's the same way. He exhibits his a little bit differently, where he thinks he's worth whatever he wants to say he's worth. And he does not think negatively about himself when he probably should a little bit at the beginning. Um, but yeah, I think they both show it different ways, but I think that they both are feeling the same thing. So that's an interesting point. You know, people who feel bad about themselves don't always show it the same way.
No. And it often just results in them making the situation worse, or
Mhm,
they're just not equipped with the tools yet to be able to like resolve things in a better way,
mhm.
hence the shouting or the bad habits, or just those bad
Or
habits you fall back into. And
I think they both have a tendency to throw things back in each other's face.
Mhm.
Like Harden throws Zed and Trevor in Tessa's face, even though, I mean, let's face it, there really wasn't a whole lot to be throwing in each other's face because every time she went with one of them. They were broken up for a reason Harden
Yeah.
supplied. And then she throws, you know, Harden's mistakes in his face a lot too. Um,
Yeah.
Rightfully so sometimes, but at the same point, if you want something to change in your relationship, throwing that in his face isn't going to help.
Yeah.
It's just going to make things worse. So, the communication, not even just the fact that they don't communicate a lot about the things that need to be, but the fact that when they do communicate, they're not doing it in a helpful way. They're doing it in a, well, you did this and you did this and you did this,
Yeah.
to see who can out bad the other one. And that's not helpful.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Spoiler
finger, yeah, there's a lot
alert.
of finger pointing. There's a lot of just, blaming and trying to one up each other. Like, oh, well, you did this. Well, I'm going to go and do this. And just
Mhm.
harboring a lot of resentment. And it just kind of
And
festers. Yeah.
and I mean, I'm glad that you pointed up, well, you did this, I'm gonna do this. There was a scene where Tessa took that to an extreme where she thought Harden had kissed or whatever another girl while they were together. And so
Molly.
she went and no, it was Dan's sister, because Harden was apologizing to her for what he did to her. And they were alone in a room together. And Tessa went up the stairs and she was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you, or whatever. And so Tessa thought that he had, you know, gotten with her. And so she threw that in his face again, that he had done that in the past. And she went and kissed a random person. And Harden, being the great guy that he is, went and beat that guy up. And you know, it was Tessa's fault there. But um, again, they threw it in each other's faces and did not communicate about what was going on. And
Yeah.
Tessa jumped to conclusions that then led them down to another horrible fight. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't remember. Were they living with each other at this point?
Yeah, they started living with each other in the first book.
Yeah, which is so
Like before
fast.
she found out about the reason they started dating, which is a huge spoiler, guys.
Oh, yeah. Let's get
Um,
into it.
so Tessa and Harden start dating early on in the first book. And towards the end of the first book, you find out that their relationship started as a bet. And I got very nostalgic on that because She's All That. That was a
Oh,
bet.
yeah. That was like one of
And
my
so,
favorites.
like, in my mind, I'm like, "Ooh, childhood." But yeah, so it started out as a bet, and this is where the movies and the book kind of diverge a little bit. The book is a lot more graphic in how he proved that he won the bet. And the bet was basically that he could get her to sleep with him because, as Sandra mentioned, she was a virgin going into high school. And so he bet that he could get her to sleep with him. And he proved that in the book by providing the sheets and the condom. Whereas in the movie, they left that little tidbit out a little bit.
Yeah, they did over the phone.
Just kind
Or
of
yeah.
like showed that he proved it. But yeah, so
But the
not
thing
the
is,
best move
in
on his
both the books and the movie, he accepted payment for winning the bet.
yes.
Like he like
Yes.
it's like,
So if you're
hey,
in love with this girl, dude, which you say you are, don't accept money for a bet that you won because you're in love with her. Like bad move, Harden. Bad move.
yeah, how he didn't think that would come out and bite him in the ass later. I don't know.
Well,
But
he thought that once he got her to move in with him, and this is kind of gaslighting, I think, because he thought that if he got her to move in with him, she would have nowhere else to go, no one else to rely on because he had ruined her relationship with her mom. And so she would be stuck with him at that point because they're his friends that she made in college. He was their group or part of their group, and she wasn't. And so if she didn't have Noah, because she broke up with Noah, if she didn't have her mom, and he was it. She was living with him, so she didn't have anywhere to go. He thought that that was it. And he also helped her get the internship at Vance.
mm,
So, like, her whole life revolved around him.
yeah,
And so he thought he had it in the bag that she would not be able to grow, like you said, a backbone and leave him because, well, where's she going to go?
yeah. It's like throughout the series, there's just this, I mean, it's like a cycle between those
Mhm.
two. I mean, it's just like whether it's love triangles, because Tessa is, she is a catch, she's smart, she's
Sweet,
witty, she's sweet, she cares
beautiful.
about people, she's gorgeous. So she's a catch. Of course, guys are going to be interested in her, whether they're her coworkers or random people that she meets out or whatever it is. Like she has a lot going for her. And so it's just, she doesn't have a lot of experiences. So yeah, at times she is curious about, what it would be like to make out with some random guy at the club, or, what it would be like to date someone with his shit together, like Trevor, who she works with at the internship. And it's just, but it always comes back to Hardin because he just kind of self sabotages and pulls her into his whole shit storm, and she
Mhm.
just gets swept up in it over and over again.
I think she learns a lot from, Kim? Yeah, Kim,
Mm.
um, in
And
what to
Kim
take,
is,
and Kim is awesome, but Kim is Mr. Vance's future wife. She works for Vance Publishing, and she is Tessa's boss when she is doing her internship. And she is just a little older than Tessa, got her shit together, and kind of mentors Tessa in what she should and should not be taking from Hardin. And I think Tessa grows a lot of backbone from hearing from Kim. But
yeah.
then towards the end of the, like, 4th book, I think Tessa gives some of that backbone to her, like, gives it back, like,
Oh yeah.
Kim goes through something towards the end of that book that even Tessa can see her, I don't know, standing her ground a
Oh
little bit,
yeah. And that's
and I love that scene.
yeah. It's also one of the kind of divisive points for a lot of people in the fandom, is because like they love the relationship between Hardin and Tessa so much. Like they're like destined for each other's, how people think of them. Like they're just so passionate and intensely in love with each other. But the fact that Tessa does eventually grow up and stand her ground and distance, like physically distances and cuts herself off from interacting with Hardin. Like he is not in her life whatsoever. Like by the end of the series, it's been like what, a couple of years or something.
Mhm.
And for a lot of people in the fandom, they're just like, they wasted so much time. Like they wasted so much time by not just like growing up and communicating these things with each other. And like they were apart and miserable, and they were always meant to be together. And so it's kind of like this give and take with Tessa growing up and standing her ground and being away from him, because it's like on one hand, yay, you go, like you finally
Mhm.
did it, you got yourself out of a crappy situation until it can work itself out and be healthier. But on the other hand, it's like people just really wanted more time, like more good times with them
Yeah,
together instead of all the bad toxicity.
and I agree with them, like, in a perfect world, they would have been together from the beginning and we wouldn't have to have lived their ups and downs. It would have all been ups. But I think that that's why it resonates too,
Yeah.
because real life isn't that way. Like, you don't find the perfect love and they never screw up and they always do things the right way and there's never a problem. Like, that, sorry, but this isn't a Disney movie. Like,
Are
it
you
doesn't
speaking
happen
from
that way.
experience?
Yes, yes, a little experience there. It doesn't happen that way. Like, you have to live through the downs for the ups to be worth it. Like
Yeah.
you have to know that there are bad things to appreciate those good things. And I think in the end of the whole series, they appreciate each other better because they lived through and grew from the bad experiences they had. But I will agree with them. It'd be great if this was a Disney book and, everything worked out, which even Disney doesn't work out all the way. There's negatives in that. So, but when she finds her prince, it always works out for her. Um,
All she
but
has to do is lay there and everything,
yes, yes,
it
or
serves up
lose a
to her on
shoe.
a
Like,
platter. Life is perfect. Yeah.
I don't know how you lose a shoe and not realize that you lost a shoe. But anyway, um, but I think because of that, Tessa and Hardin grow as humans. And again, that's what makes this book real to me is they grew. They went through the same shit that everybody else on earth goes through, and they grew from it, and it makes their happily ever after. And I know that's not the book title, but their happily ever after so
I
much
know
better.
it just, the title irks me so much. It just sounds
It's
so wrong.
it's like, yeah, but yeah, it makes it so much better in my eyes that they ended up together and ended up strong in their relationship because they learned.
Yeah, I agree. You
I
said
wish
the
other people
story
would
is
read.
like, yeah, it's, I mean, it was just so real. That's what it always felt like to me when I was reading the books and watching the movies. And I'm like, yeah, some of these problems are like so just like you roll your eyes at them, like, really another bet and shit like that. But it's like, no, like I have observed these things in our younger days, like they happen. And it's like people roll their eyes and just like make fun of the type of thing, but there's a lot of legitimacy to these types of stories. And it's just like for me, one of the comments that I would see over and over again on any of this after series content was like, this was a real relationship. This was a real relationship. Like this was just like real life. Like this is how things are. Like they're messy. They're everyone gets pulled in and there's like drama everywhere and people can get nasty, but they eventually grow up. And
Mhm.
that, yeah, I really appreciated that about this series.
So now, what did you think about the cast of the movies compared
Okay.
to what you envisioned when you read the books? Because I have some I have some thoughts on this.
Yeah. Well, okay. Since I watched the movie first, I mean, as and read the books after, of course, I envisioned, Hero as Hardin and Josephine Langford as Tessa. So everyone that they had in the movie, I like inserted their face onto these characters
Mhm.
as I read the books. But like, I thought in the first movie, everyone was pretty spot on, pretty perfect. Like it fit with how they read across the page. But then, like, oh, Tara, as we get into like as we get into like the second, third movie casting, it's just like, what is happening to this franchise? Like,
I mean, I don't think that they expected the first movie to be as popular as it was.
oh, it was
Um,
so low budget too. It was low
yeah,
budget done.
I think that they expected it to be kind of like a, one and done thing. And so I don't know that they planned ahead for the cast of the next movie. And I don't know what the deal was, but a lot of the cast changed. I'm glad that they kept Hardin and Tessa the same, so Hero and Josephine, but a lot of the other people switched and
Oh,
switched like noticeably switched. Um, and
Landon,
yes, Landon's mom
Vance,
switched.
Trish. Oh no,
No, Landon's mom, not Hardin's
what
mom.
was her name? I can't remember, but
I don't
yeah,
know
her
either.
mom. Uh, hasn't Kim changed? Like literally everyone has changed except for.
Well, Kim was the same for the second movie, but I think she's changing for the third. And that is the one that I don't know. That's the one that's going to impact me the most because I loved Candace King as Kim. Like she
Yeah,
brought that
Kim.
sassy, sweet, like, and if you don't know who Candace King is, she played Caroline from Vampire Diaries. So imagine Caroline as a sassy little like mentor for Tessa, and that's what you get. Um, yeah, I loved her in the movies, and she was in the first and the second one, but I think she's switching in the third. Um, and I have some qualms with a couple of the other casts switching because like Landon's mom went from, I don't know if she was white, but like she was almost white to black. And I mean that's fine. It's just a noticeable switch.
Yeah.
Um and I think Carol is going to stay the same.
I
She's
just don't
played
know if she
by
appears in, well, okay. Carol, so back up. Carol is played by Selma Blair. And if you guys don't know, like she has MS
Mhm.
and it has gotten really, really bad over the years. Like, I think she was walking around some in the second movie and stuff like
Mhm.
that, but I don't know if she was able to by the time the
She
third one was
requires
filmed. Yeah.
he requires a cane in real life, which I am gonna point out. Like Sandra pointed out that Carol is a lot like my mom, and my mom also has MS. So, like, there's connections all around with Carol and my mom. But yeah, it becomes very debilitating, and so I think that that one was maybe a necessity. Like I was saying, some of these might have been that they didn't think that they were going to do a second movie when they did the contracts, and they weren't able to get them scheduling or whatever for the second, the third movies. But yeah,
Yeah.
there were some changes.
Yeah. That one
And
was it's heartbreaking. But
not all
they're trying to work around it. Yeah.
not all for the worse of the movies, just you're gonna notice them.
But like some of the most beloved characters, even in the books, like fucking Trevor, like he is changing
Yeah.
from book 2 to 3, which is like,
And Hardin's dad is also changing from 2 to 3, I think, or did he
who are
change
we
in
talking
two?
about? Are we talking about fake dad, Ken Scott, or are we talking about Christian, real dad?
Well,
Spoiler alert.
I'm I'm talking about Ken right now, but Christian also changes. So they both change. Um,
Yeah.
and did Hardin's mom change too? I can't remember.
I can't
I don't
remember,
think she did. I can't remember.
but like
So there's like
Landon, yeah.
it's like musical chairs up in this movie. The only people that stay the same, I think Steph stayed the same, Zed stayed the same, Hardin and Tessa stayed the same, but all else is fair game, I guess, for the casting people in
Yeah,
this
which
movie.
it's heartbreaking for a series as worldwide like popular as this one. I mean, I know I'm personally going to find it jarring whenever I get used to, different
Mhm,
characters on screen, but it's like thinking back to other big franchises where this has happened, like Twilight. They ended up switching some of them like side vampire
mhm.
characters,
Yeah,
which I remember like kind of
but they
fixating
all
on
looked very
that.
similar. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
but
so when they
made them.
changed, like, Victoria,
Yep.
they changed her to Bryce Dallas Howard, which they made her dye her well, she had red hair anyway, but, like, they made her look like the original
Yeah.
person who played it, not like, you know, all of a sudden Victoria has blonde hair now. Um,
Yeah. They tried to, yeah, at least keep it consistent across the entire thing.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm so worried about how the third movie is going to go, but hopefully we'll get to watch it soon.
Yeah, I think it'll be good because hopefully they'll keep the premise, and I'm okay with a cast being a cast. Like they might not be who I was imagining in my head as the person, but very rarely are they who I was imagining as the person
Yeah.
in the first place. But I think no matter what, as long as they stay towards the premise of the book, I'm gonna be okay with it.
Yeah, me too. Well, Tara, I think we're approaching time here, but tell me. So across, books, movies, whatever, what would you say your favorite scene or moment or exchange was?
Um, I think the I don't know. I liked a couple. I really liked her when they go off to the cabin with Ken and whatever her name is, Landon's mom. I can't remember either.
I know.
But when they go to the cabin with her and Hardin is trying to make Tessa jealous because she had just found out that he was thwarting her efforts to get a place in Seattle because he didn't want her to move. Um, Typical Hardin, like
Yeah.
whatever. Try and keep her there by making sure she has no other options. Um, so he's trying to make her jealous and it's working. She's pretty jealous, but then he pushes her too far and she gets a backbone for herself and she goes off and another person comes and talks to her and then Jarden. Hardin is the one who ends up getting jealous. That's Hardin's jealous name. Like I just gave
Jordan.
him a uh, you know, whatever
I
that's
like
called.
it. Yeah.
So jealous Hardin is now Jarden. Um, he gets jealous and he ends up being the one feeling that. So I like that scene, but I also like the scene where she finally gives up on him when they're in London and he is at the party with his old group of London friends that are not good influences on him. But she walks in and he has another girl wearing his shirt and she's wrapped around him. And he didn't do anything with her, but he gave Tessa the impression that he did. And so she finally walked out on him. Now the rest of that scene was not my favorite, but I liked when she like, you know what? I'm worth more than this.
Yeah, that was
And
a
I
great
can do
moment.
more than this. So those are my favorites. What about you?
I'm a sucker for that transition between like innocence and I just being more experienced, I guess, falling
Mhm.
in love. So for me, it's probably like the montage type of scenes in the first book with just the two of them together. Like whether
All the
it's
good
them,
times.
yeah, all the good times, like reading in bed together, just doing really simple day-to-day domestic type of things. Like I love those glimpses of those moments where they didn't have any outside drama. It was just them two enjoying, the writing and the reading and all the different things that they like doing, just spending time with one another. There's like no ego, there's no jealousy. It's just like them in their own little hardened Tessa world. And I love those moments. They're such tender, sweet moments.
I
The
like them
world
too.
needs more of those without all
Yes.
the other shit.
The world needs more of women sticking up for themselves too. So
Yeah.
all around, I
Yeah.
think.
I haven't so I think this was Anna Todd's first series that she wrote,
Mhm.
right? She
Yeah, I think
also
so.
wrote, what was it? Like The Spring Girls, which is a retelling of Little Women, I think it is, like a modern twist of that. I read it. I wasn't really wowed by that book. Some
I
of the
haven't read it.
writings at times made my jaw drop by how poetic it came across, but a lot of the plot stuff, it just felt like so derivative and shallow at times. Um, so I don't know what else she's working on. Probably like the script for the movies and
She did say that she is open to doing another book that details like more
what?
of their life as adults and then their daughter's life.
I
And
think that's
spoiler,
what people,
guys,
yeah.
spoiler, they have a daughter later on.
And a
Um,
boy, right? They
oh
have
yeah,
one of each.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But can you imagine Hardin and his daughter when she gets 16, 17? Holy crap. I
Old Harden's gonna
don't
come
know
out.
how he's going to handle that because he was the boy that you wanted your daughter to stay away from. And now he's going to have to like see his daughter fall in love with a Hardin and I don't think he's going to handle that well.
No, definitely not. He's a little possessive.
Yeah, a little bit, tiny bit. Not to the extreme at all.
Yeah. That'd be interesting if Anna does write another book. I know that was like one of the biggest complaints people had about After Ever
Uh-huh.
Happy was like a majority of the
How
book,
quick.
maybe like two-thirds of it was like them apart, just living their
Mhm.
own lives. And then like the very end was like their happy ever after being crammed into so many pages of them
Mhm.
working. And I think Tessa becomes a wedding planner and Hardin is, you know,
An author.
yeah, an author and they have their kids and all of that stuff and their lives are like very busy and full. Like they're
Mhm.
exhausted by the end of the day, but they still like take care of each other and just are so passionate and in love. And I just like all the feels. And that's what people wanted more of.
I did get the feels when Hardin was like in his dad mode with his daughter and like when she was
Mhm.
complaining
Oh my
that
God.
Landon's daughter was being mean to her and like how he was like, "Well, I was mean to your mommy like when I first met her." And like sometimes you just have to like give them a little bit to grow into being a better person. And like it was super cute. And I would love to see more of that.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we'll get. You never
Yeah,
know.
hopefully.
Yeah.
So, Sandra, as we sign off here, we have talked a lot about the abusive relationship almost that Tessa and Hardin went through, but then we did not talk about the abuse they said being abuse. But one of the major scenes in the book is a retelling of what happened to Hardin's mom and kind of led to his dad leaving. But there is a rape scene, so
Yeah. The book has
it's
a
kind of
couple.
triggering sometimes. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
couple. There's a rape scene with his mom, and then there's also an almost rape scene of Tessa throughout the book. So I thought it'd be kind of cool in our show notes for this if we link a charity if you guys want to get involved. I'm gonna let Sandra tell you about it though.
Yeah, so kind of I quickly like brushed over this at the beginning of the episode, but I recently started a job at the Northwest Arkansas Center for Sexual Assault. I'll be doing development and marketing over there, trying to grow impact in the community. So for this, just because like sexual assault and domestic abuse and all of these really heavy themes are just really predominant throughout the entire series, whether it's the books or the movies. The organization that I'm working for now, they help a lot of survivors, primary and secondary victims of this type of thing. So we thought whenever we do these videos, we would try and link back to, a good cause. And so yeah, Northwest Arkansas Center for Sexual Assault. If you want to donate to a good cause, I'll link out to the website donation form if you feel like doing that. But yeah, I mean, stories are so important to just growing as a human being. Um, and this one definitely has its place. Like, it's not a perfect series, right, Tara?
Mhm.
Like, it has its issues
There's
and
some
stuff. Like,
writing
yeah,
flaws.
there's some valid arguments for it. But like, I don't think that Anna Todd is ultimately teaching people to just be involved in these horribly abusive relationships. Like, that's not what it's about at all. It's just about two kids, because I mean, I look at 18 and 18-year-old
Mhm.
Sandra and Tara as children, because that's what we
Yeah,
are. We were children, when we were 20. Like, I'm a completely different person
I
now
feel
than
like I was still a child
yeah,
when I hit 30.
yeah,
Like, let's be
yeah.
honest.
That doesn't in any way excuse any of the terrible things that some of these people do to each other in these books, but I think that the series overall was just, it was more than just about toxic relationships. It was just a
Mhm.
glimpse of, here's Tessa and Hardin's story, here's where they started and here's where they ended.
I I'm gonna go back to I think it was a healthy, like, not a healthy relationship, but a healthy look at what life actually holds.
Yeah,
Um,
it was
you know,
realistic.
yes, you if you, like me and Sandra have alluded to, grow up thinking life is perfect and you don't know any of the negatives that are out there, you're going to be hit with those negatives very quickly, and those bad situations, and you're not going to know how to respond to them. So while Sandra was saying, I don't think that she is condoning the bad that happens in this relationship, I don't think so either. I think she is giving you a glimpse of things that actually happen in real life and a glimpse of how people work around that.
Yeah,
I feel like Tessa grew and she grew to stand her ground and she got out of that somewhat toxic, abusive relationship until she could make sure it was not that way anymore.
yeah,
And I think that that's the best thing that we can be showing other people is you don't have to live with it. It's there. You don't have to live with it. You can change it. And if you change it and it becomes a relationship you're good with again, that's great. If you change it and it's just best for you not to be in that situation anymore, then that's what you need. And things like what Sandra just, you know, will put in the notes are ways that we can help women change these abusive relationships and change what is, out there for us, um, and ways to help.
yeah. So we thought this one would be a good one to tie back to a good cause. And we hope to do this with each episode we do. Like, we'll definitely talk about all different themes in whatever book or show or whatever it is that we talk about. And we'll always try and tie it back to a good cause to help give back. So
Mhm.
yeah, I guess for like next time, I don't know if we want to give like a little teaser for what we want to talk about next time, really quickly, what to expect. But we hope you will tune in again, continue listening, and enjoyed our banter about these characters in this little world. So, yeah,
Thank you for joining us today.
yeah. Okay. Um,
Bye.
I'm so awkward.
I don't know how to end it. Stop listening now,
All
guys.
right. Bye.
Bye.